Hello and welcome to Libra season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and multidimensional human who, like you, is on a journey through this crazy thing we call life here on planet Earth. These days, as I'm sure you've noticed, life on Earth is complex, chaotic, confusing, terrifying, and deeply heartbreaking, yet also still full of beauty and saturated by the mysterious substances of sentient potentiality. In many ways, these times are to be expected, given the histories and cycles that they're emerging within. In the ongoing evolution of human consciousness, navigating times of crisis has always been our necessity. Throughout history, we humans have had to reckon with creative and destructive potentials, and the ways in which we can make meaning and grow through experiences of tragedy and pain. Over the ages, one of our most important evolutionary guides and allies in meaning making has been astrology. Astrology is expansive, and the type that I practice, which is called tropical astrology, is just one of its many forms. Different forms of astrology exist and have existed on every part of the globe, and new forms and variations are still being created. At its most fundamental level, astrology is an orientation of attunement with the cycles and seasons of the cosmos, and a practice of listening and communing with the most important planet of all, which is the one we're part of, Earth. If you, like me, are interested in how you can live into the fullest potential of your lifetime, in service to the life and lives yours is interwoven with here on Earth, I want to invite you to join me next month for an in-person on-land retreat, where we'll explore how embodying astrology can help us attune with our intuition, open our imaginations, and show up for our journeys with inspiration, presence, and purpose. October 24th through 27th at the Eco-Dharma Center in the Rocky Mountains, I'll be joined by my colleagues Ramon and Michelle Gabrieloff-Parrish for a deep dive into experiential astrology. During this 4-day residential retreat, we'll engage with charts, signs, and symbolism. We'll spend time outside, connecting with our physical presence, somatic intelligence, and psychic process, in communion with the land and sky. We'll experiment with the potential of astrology to elaborate systems thinking, expand mind-body coherence, and assist us in cultivating perspectives on how our individual inheritances and personal potentials can help us all meet the historic moment we're in as change agents, healers, and visionaries. If this sounds like the place you want to be, I hope you'll join us. Learn more about the Body of Stars retreat by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting embodiedastrology.com, where you can find more information from the drop-down menu in the study section. Last but not least, before we get to your sign-specific horoscopes, I do want to remind you that these readings are somewhat personal explorations of larger collective symbols. Take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's meaningful for you. For a broader focus on the astrology of current events and a collective reading, make sure to listen to my Libra season overview, available on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcasts. Hello Libra, welcome to Libra season. Happy birthday if it is your sun sign. Happy new solar year for you Libra risings and Libra moons. Welcome to all of your Libra placements. This reading is for you in your season in 2024. I'm going to offer what's coming through for me with your solar chart right now in the realms of head, heart, and body. And as we move through these different layers of consciousness and experience, I'll also offer some interpretation through the lens of 3 important keywords for Libra. The first of those keywords is beauty. This has to do with your preferences, your aesthetics, your tastes, and what you're drawn to, as well as the inverse of that, what you don't like and what you're trying to move away from, or you naturally have an aversion or recoil with. In the realm of your heart, there is the keyword, the Libra keyword of love. And love and relationships, union or collaboration, these are really big themes for Libra. And just like with beauty, there's also an inverse. So when we're working through relationships and the situations that they present, of course, there's also sometimes the need to separate. And there are challenges that we might need to work through, including feelings of dislike. And then in the realm of the body, we have balance as Libra's keyword. And all of you Libras know that balance is a dance. It is not a fixed destination. Any body in nature trying to find balance is naturally going to find a flow or a spiral cyclical path. And balance is a process. It's something that we have to be in practice with. So as we move through the timeline for Libra season, let's just keep these ideas in mind and take what works, leave the rest, make the meaning that's most meaningful for you. So we enter into Libra season, and the feeling that I have is that a lot of you are working through a lot internally. This makes sense as we get into a new solar year for your Libra identified parts. At the end of a year and beginning of a new year, it's really natural to be in a state of reflection and review and a kind of sense of what do I want to leave behind and what am I trying to take forward into the future with me. There can also be a real awareness of your own maturation and growth. And of course, as you mature and grow, all kinds of things change, including your preferences, including your relationships, and including your sense of inner balance and how you know yourself to be, right? Your perspective on who you are and what you need naturally, hopefully, will evolve as you get older. So this feels like a period of time when a lot of you are really reflecting on these processes of growth. I feel that there is a need to cut out a fair amount of psychic, psychological, energetic, or unconscious stuff. It's like flotsam and jetsam that's floating around in your psychic space. This is a wonderful period of time for you to do any kind of mental or digital detox programs, especially as we get into the first couple of days of Libra season. I think that quiet, tuning in with your body, paying attention to the natural world and the connections that you have through your breath, to the element of air, through your body to the element of earth, right? Through all of the fluids that you are made of with water, and the substance of your life and your creativity, of course, with fire. Connecting in with the elements and the wisdom of the earth is really helpful right now to assist you in ascertaining what it is that you are wanting to bring forward with you and what actually needs to be released and given back to the earth. There is a period of really important cyclical closure for you at this time. And I think that a lot of you are probably experiencing a psychological readiness to move into the new phase. And yet the circumstances of the world and your life and other people, basically all the stuff that you can't control, is going to hold you in this cycle until it's good and ready to be finished. And you actually really want to trust the wisdom of that. Even though this coming season is bringing a lot of mental clarity, which I'm going to get into in just a minute, and enthusiasm and ideas about what's coming up and what's coming next, I will say that collectively in the world, we are finishing a really important and dense period of our evolutionary consciousness and growth. Everybody is experiencing some variation of feeling kind of stuck inside of ways of being that they are ready to move on from. And it's important that we understand that frustration is an essential part of the process right now. The frustration and the feeling of confinement is akin to what an infant feels before it's born, right? Like this sense of squeezing and growing, but still being in the same place and wanting to move forward and wanting to kind of like stretch out, but not quite being able to yet. So if any of you are feeling this sense of, stuck, stagnancy, like you can feel the new thing, it's here, you want it, you're ready for it, and yet there's also the sensation of being kind of held and not let go yet. I do want to say that this is important. This is a period of compression of your energy. And ideally, you're able to work with it in ways that help you consolidate your sense of personal power. That's actually the wisdom of compression and squeezing, is that it helps bring power into our core. Now, as we move into the beginning of October, we are moving towards a new moon and solar eclipse in your sign. That's October 2nd. It's at 10 degrees of Libra. For those of you that know your natal placements, you might want to check how close your sun, moon, rising, or other placements are to 10 degrees of Libra. This is the second of 2 eclipses. We had another one on September 17th in the sign Pisces. This set of eclipses that's wobbling back and forth between the axis of Libra and Aries and Pisces and Virgo has a kind of time-bending quality to it. And it's bringing the focus, I'm going to say, into you. I think that a lot of you have had a fair amount of energy, I'm going to say over the last year to 2 years, for being aware of what you want in your outer experience, in your relationships, in the world out there. And I think that many of you, again, are feeling squeezed in your life, and you're responding to that squeeze as we hope that you would, right? Like through kind of pushing back, coming into your own power, feeling your sense of consolidation in your evolving and changing sense of self. And this eclipse, as we move towards October 2nd, is really bringing a lot of emphasis into you. And I'm going to say that your health and vitality, your body, your energy, your physical presence are really what is getting highlighted right now. I have a question for you, as I have a question for a lot of signs this season, around what are the actual outcomes of how you invest your resources, your time, your energy, your attention, your money, and any other material resources or considerations that you might be thinking of. Especially though, when it comes to anything that you might perceive or experience as your life energy. And your life, your actual time, your vitality, your attention are the most valuable resources that you have. Without these resources, you can't make money, you can't, experience whatever is important to you to experience. So there is a kind of increasing pulling of your awareness as we move to into October of the value of your actual vitality, your energy, your life. And in this, some kind of consciousness of how do you invest in that value? And also, how do you divest from ways of being that put things on you that distract or clog or misuse the resources that you have and are, right? And if we're thinking about your vitality and your energy, you yourself, right, are your own best resource. So when I say, how do you divest? How do you take your energy out of what doesn't serve you? Notice what comes up into your intuitive consciousness first and most quickly, and pay attention to that. Always make the meaning that's meaningful for you, but I'm really getting a hit right now that intuitively, on a gut level, on a body level, on an emotional level, I think you know where there are sticky spots or I'm going to say agreements that are not in service. And the feeling that I get for a lot of you is that there's a need to divest from relational expectations that have you caring for, let me rephrase that have you caring alone for what is too big for you alone to hold. Now, this could, of course, manifest in so many different ways. Some of what's coming up for me has to do with being sensitive and having a kind of intuition of where there are needs and where needs are not being met, but
having also maybe some orientation towards trying to attend to a lot of needs that are just bigger than what you yourself can manage. We are living in a time of immense confusion and chaos and things that feel really overwhelming. Environmental, ecological, societal situations that are bigger than anybody can manage. And so especially, or alone, I'll say, bigger than anyone can manage alone. So especially when it comes to your work, your career, your vocation, how you attend to your family, your relationships with partners and significant others, and how you enter into contractual agreements, it feels necessary that you take your time right now to consider where you may be trying to take care of what's too big for you to care for alone. And you can continue to care for these situations or these people or these parts of your life, but it feels important that you understand right now that you can ask for help, and that the success that you are, or I should say, like the goal, what what the outcome is that you're trying to get to, it needs more support than you alone can give it. I also want to say that there is a big spiritual message here right now as well, and that for some of you, this may have a mental component to it. And so if you feel understandably upset right now about all the things that you can't control, a lot, right? There's a lot that you can't control. You are allowed to feel upset. You're allowed to have grief. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed and confused. And my feeling is that you don't want to try and take care of it mentally in the way that sometimes we can when we compartmentalize or try and bypass, where it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to XYZ. And that in and of itself is a strategy to not feel the way that you're feeling. I want to say that it does feel important right now that you give yourself permission to be a feeling, sensing person who maybe isn't always able to make light of the situation or see, the positive in every single moment. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to experience it or come back to that at some point. But if you don't give yourself or others time and space to just feel the feelings that are here, it can create a kind of franticness in the mental state, and this can lead to poor discernment around important choices.
Hey there. I'll be back in just a minute with the rest of your Libra season horoscope, but I wanted to let you know that if you're enjoying this reading and it's resonating for you, the best way to integrate and bring astrology's best potentials into your life is to put them into practice. At Embodied Astrology, that's exactly the kind of thing we do. Every month and throughout the seasons, we offer opportunities to engage the creative, experimental, and experiential aspects of current astrology. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday, where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle, healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. Over the weekend of October 12th and 13th, we also have 2 wonderful workshops with our faculty members, Gabs and Junata. On Saturday, October 12th, Gabs 404 will be joined by a special guest, the astrologer and time researcher Christopher Burrick, in the Nebula Lab, where they'll deep dive into time as a substance and explore the many ways that time has been measured, expanded, stretched, and played with, and how we can work with time across time through the cyclical symbolism of the outer planets. The next day, Sunday, October 13th, Junata Petrus returns for the Aries full moon edition of her monthly Artistic Alchemy series. In these sessions, Junata brings us into the textural, sensual encounters with the solar-lunar axis and full moon vibes by sharing playlists, artist practices, and personal prompts that help us uncover and expand our personal creative practices and life as artistry. These events are all offered on Zoom and available by recording if you can't attend live. Our offerings also change with each season and are always curated to meet the moment. To find out more, check the upcoming events in our show notes or click Study from the drop-down menu at embodiedastrology.com.
So as we move out of September and into October and towards that new moon and solar eclipse in Libra, I really encourage you to think about how the investments of your time, energy, attention, and material resources feel in your body-mind. And when you give thought in certain directions, or when you give voice or action or pay into, what is the residual outcome of that? And can you be present with it in its sequential unfolding? And this requires discernment and patience and the capacity to be with yourself through a process. To just ask ourselves very quickly or briefly how we feel about something in a moment. And, it's like, I'm just going to take the temperature check right now. That's going to give a certain kind of information, but allow yourself to be in a larger question of, how am I going to feel about this in a year? How about in 3 years? How about in 10 years? What am I really investing in when I give my time and attention in these ways? Am I investing in compartmentalization and distraction? Or am I investing in kind of a sense of long-term steadiness and process? This is refinement and discernment that you have to make for yourself, Libra. And it does feel important as we move into October that you are giving yourself a lot of time and space to do this kind of reflection, particularly when it comes to how you put yourself out into the world. And again, the kinds of contracts that you're making with other people, the kinds of relationships that you're investing in, etc. From basically the beginning of October until the end of February in 2025, many of you are in some kind of process where you are rearranging or reorienting how you want to take action around some things. Now, this can definitely include big projects that you're beginning. It can also include relationships. The general theme and feeling is how you put yourself out there. And out there, it includes your public image. It also includes what you're trying to project into the world and how you want to come across to other people. And this is, again, where it feels important to point out that you want to divest from ways of putting yourself out into the world that actually deplete your energy, that actually result in some kind of accumulation of yuck inside of your mind body. For Libra, it's always important to check in with, are you more invested in superficiality and appearances and keeping things nice on the surface? Or are you willing to do the work of growth and intimacy and vulnerability? And I'm going to say the true balance of relationship, which will require you to go deep sometimes. And when we get deep and underneath the surface, sometimes there's shit that needs to get dealt with. I would encourage you right now to try and confront any fears or internal kinds of preoccupations that you have with surface kinds of things. So, how am I perceived out there? What's my status? The ways that you might project other people viewing you, and to really tune in with what is true for you when it comes to your own guidance and how you want to be mobilizing and motivating yourself to move forward. A lot of you have some really exciting feeling new creative energy coming in. I think that you are very aware of this new chapter that's kind of opening up and calling you forward. It is a wonderful time for you to be building particularly when it comes to the ideas of something, when it comes to the laying of the foundations through thinking and conceiving and imagining and ideating and even writing it out. Also, when it comes to building networks of support and collaborating with other people. So you want to make sure that these kinds of activities, anything that's beginning now or gaining momentum at this time, is being invested with this kind of energy of depth and the willingness to move slow and be in a process and be with what just needs time to sort out, right? To get sorted. Many of the sorting processes, again, are outside of your control. It needs time. It needs something to happen in the world. It needs other people to go through their process so they can meet you in yours, etc. Towards the end of Libra season, as we get towards the Aries full moons on October 17th, we have a full moon in Aries. I'm going to say that the 4 to 5 days leading up to that full moon feel really activating in your chart. Now, I say the word activating and it's neutral. So there's a level of activity. There's a feeling of kind of an energized state coming into your chart. And the feeling here is you are being kind of like compelled into paying attention in certain ways. There might be important issues with your relationships that really need your attention at this period of time. This also feels like a period of time when this work around balance becomes really important. Now, Libra, your capacity to find steadiness and center when the world around you seems out of control is what you want to be kind of tuning in with right now. But again, it feels important that you are tuning in with that sense of center from a place of a kind of softening and willingness to be with what is and not trying to push something out so that you can maintain stability. And so the feeling that I have here is that if there are important issues coming to light, you want to know what it feels like to feel activated about something. You want to know what your tendencies and patterns are when you feel activated. If there are particular people that are particularly activating that you're dealing with right now in whatever you're sorting through, again, it feels like these long-term processes, you might spend some time reflecting on memories that you have of previous situations where you felt activated by them and it led you to do something or be some kind of way that didn't feel so great. That can include self-abandoning and masking, kind of hiding or shrinking yourself. It can include being reactive and spouting off or saying things or doing things that you don't mean. It can include people-pleasing, fawning, and becoming complacent. It can include all kinds of things. As you reflect on previous times that you have reacted in ways that you could feel weren't actually what your, what would have been most caring for yourself or for the situation, imagine what else could happen. Reflect on what happened then. How did it feel in your body? What were the mental stories that were going on? What was the kind of energetic charge? Your physical sensations? What did you do? What were your behaviors, etc.? Try and feel those sensations in your body so that you have a cue and a clue for them. And then imagine what else is possible. Imagine how you want to take care of yourself in the future and in these upcoming circumstances. Particularly when it comes to issues of shared property or resources, money, sex, debts and inheritances, anything that feels hard to talk about because it's in the kind of psychological terrain or it's sticky and people have feelings about it. These are times and places where we need you to be courageous and bring forward a willingness to feel what's there while also caring for yourself exquisitely and really trying to take care of the need that you have to evolve and to move forward into this next chapter. The next chapter starts to become really apparent as we move through the full moon and towards Scorpio season. The feeling that I have for you is that there are some big new ideas that are coming in with this full moon. These ideas are energizing and activating towards new directions in the growth of your relationships. And the ways that you relate, of course, have everything to do with what you're doing with your life and where you're headed, who's going to be there with you, and what kinds of things you'll be collaborating on together. And there is this sense of you are ready for some new kind of experience in your relationships and also in your path and your work and how you're putting yourself out into the world. And you're in a period of time where you are cultivating new patterns and behaviors. You're learning to care for yourself differently. You're learning to listen to your own needs and your internal embodied experience and discernment differently. And so this period of time is tender, and it needs you to move slowly and with care, and to notice when and where your habitual and kind of more practiced ways of being want to just take over and be automatic about it, versus when these new ways of being that are still developing in the strength of their patterns need some kind of mind-body coherence to help them to come forward. So in summary, Libra, over the course of Libra season, you are really noticing that your preferences and attractions are changing. I think that this is definitely reflected in how you see yourself and the ways that you value yourself for what you put out into the world, but also how you occupy and embody your inner space and your personality. It also feels to me that your relationships are evolving and changing rapidly. As your relationships evolve and change, you're interested in long-term growth. Long-term growth for you at this point means that you feel that your relationships are evolving in the direction that your values and your preferences and tastes are evolving. You are surrounded by people, ideally, who can help you move into that next chapter. And if you feel that your relationships are pulling you into the past, then you definitely want to take time over the course of Libra season to assess where and how and what and with who you want to divest and cut back. When it comes to your body and when it comes to a sense of internal balance, it is so important for you to understand how your energy moves habitually. Again, use your mind to reflect into your body and use the power of memory and imagination to reflect on times in the far and recent past when your decisions, your energies, your attitudes, or behaviors were not being invested in ways that you can feel you want to invest and that your future self is calling you to invest. And don't beat up on yourself for this. Use it as research. Really try and tune in with, how did that happen? What was the vibe? What was I feeling? What was going through my mind in terms of story or narrative? What was happening in my body in terms of sensation? How did that then manifest through my behavior? And then imagine what else is possible. How else might you embody? How could you care for your internal sense of regulation? How might you tune in with your thought patterns and shift a narrative somehow in a way that would allow you to reach a different outcome? All right, Libra, I'm wishing you all the best in Libra season. This feels like a very full time, a lot of change coming in for Libra identified folks out there. This is definitely a period of time to listen inwards towards the intelligence of your body and, I'm going to say again, your intuition. And move slowly as you move also consistently and progressively in the direction of your growth. I'm wishing you all the best. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please show your support. The easiest way to do that is to click the like, follow, and subscribe buttons below. Leave us great reviews on the streaming platforms you're tuning in with, and share our channels and offerings with your friends and networks. Your one-time and recurring donations sustain the production of this work. Click the link in the show notes to sign up for a monthly donation or leave us a tip. Thank you for your support.